The holidays are behind us and school routines are back. Now is the time to help your kids start the new semester strong. IXL helps students refresh what they learned in the fall, so they head into the new year feeling confident and prepared. With new units and new goals, IXL is the simplest way to build better habits and stay on top of lessons without the stress. As teachers dive into new material, kids can practice those exact same skills at home to make sure the lessons really stick. IXL is an award-winning platform covering math, language arts, science, and social studies for pre-K through 12th grade. It's personalized, interactive, and actually fun. Keep your kids motivated for the second half of the year at IXL.com. Don't miss out. 1 in 4 students in the U.S. are learning with IXL. IXL is used in 96 of the top 100 school districts in the U.S. Make an impact on your child's learning. Get IXL now. And listeners can get an exclusive 20% off IXL membership when they sign up today at IXLlearning.com/audio. Visit IXLlearning.com/audio to get the most effective learning program out there at the best price. A new year is a clean slate, and this year, learning a language is the resolution that actually sticks. With Rosetta Stone, it's never been easier to start fresh. Whether you're leveling up your career or prepping for a 2026 trip, our bite-sized lessons fit perfectly into your busy day. Learn while you grab coffee or during your lunch break. It's that simple. You'll see progress fast, helping you feel more confident and connected. And because Rosetta Stone uses an immersive, intuitive method, you'll learn naturally, without memorizing boring word lists. For over 30 years, we've been the trusted leader in language learning with 25 languages to choose from, including Spanish, French, German, Japanese, and more. Rosetta Stone is the go-to tool for real language growth. Don't wait. Unlock your language learning potential now. Listeners can grab Rosetta Stone's lifetime membership for 50% off. That's unlimited access to 25 language courses for life. Visit rosettastone.com/rs10 to get started and claim your 50% off today. Go to rosettastone.com/rs10 and start learning today.
I think the film really captures the unpredictability and oddity and specificity and individual experience of grief. Okay, all the cinema geeks I'm talking to today have great collectibles in the background.
Oh,
My son
really?
would love these. Yeah.
Yeah, I have a collection of chaos behind me.
Love it.
It's organized chaos, but it's there.
Indeed, indeed.
Emma, this is a joy. I'm speaking with Emma Donoghue, the writer of H is for Hawk, which is just a beautiful film. It's just an incredible story.
Thank you.
Thank you for the time. I appreciate it.
Well, you can probably tell what a joy it was for me to work on, to get to work on somebody else's book, adapting it. It's daunting, right? Because you feel you're messing around with their beautiful book and also messing around with their life and their memories. But on the other hand, such a treat to be able to sort of climb inside the machine in a Dr. Frankenstein kind of way and study how somebody else achieves all their techniques. So yeah, I said yes to this project as soon as I read even some of the book. I think I was halfway through when I wrote back to Plan B to say, yes, count me in. It'll be difficult, but I want to be the one who does this.
What is that like? I mean, you're taking someone else's book and translating it visually and immersing ourselves in the dialogue. What is that process like? Is it like you said? It's you feel like you're messing with someone else's baby in some ways, but how is that? How do you go about that process?
Well, translation is the perfect word to use. Yeah. I remember somebody once saying to me, like, what percentage of your book did you manage to keep in the screenplay? And I'm like, that's an accountant's question. That's not an adapter's question. With adaptation, we've all seen literal adaptations that just don't capture the magic. So I often feel you almost have to turn away from the book and walk hard in the other direction, but vividly holding on to the memory of what it was that moved you in the book, but you have to achieve it through cinematic techniques. So, despite being a novelist by origin, I try and avoid using voiceover. I think voiceover can be a very lazy option for, here's big chunks of the profound bits from the book, narrated over footage. I think cinema is primarily visual. And so I was determined with H is for Hawk to try and capture, in particular, the minutiae of Helen's taming of that hawk Mabel, the building up that relationship beat by beat. So I wrote long scenes in which nobody was talking, but lots was happening at the sort of micro level. Has the hawk put on enough weight? And, will the hawk fly back to me? How do I get Mabel out of a tree? So all these kind of tiny moments in the story are kind of it's crucial, it's spine really. So I never worried about there not being enough to keep the audience hooked. I knew that we were writing about a relationship unlike any other. And yet, with a lot of echoes of things like parenting, for instance, I often, there are many scenes in which it's really like having a new baby. You see Helen all strung out, like, how can I make her eat? I felt exactly like that with a premature baby.
Well, honestly, like these scenes where with just like you said, these silent scenes are so engaging because, of course, the bird is so unpredictable. I mean, you don't know, but I mean, I don't know what you knew about goshawks because here we are stepping in. Did you know
Zip.
anything?
I
What did you
knew
learn?
nothing. I still don't know why they asked me to write this, but I wasn't inclined to question their decision. And I think one thing that really drew me to it is its psychological intensity. Yeah. And also the fact that this is a really unusual human animal story, because the classic human animal story is, one white boy representing humankind and then one beautiful innocent animal who must die as an allegory of how humans have trashed nature. And so I thought this is really an unprecedented kind of film. And that really drew me. Now I knew that it would be not an easy adaptation because there's a lot in the book that is not directly translatable to the screen. There's a lot that is commentary on other authors, such as T.H. White, nature writing, and I knew the footage we'd be getting would be some equivalent of that, but we couldn't just literally put Helen's thoughts on screen. So in a way, I was taking about a quarter of the book and the storyline of Helen losing her dad and raising this hawk and expanding that to be the whole film. But in the case of film, you're nearly always cutting right down anyway. Short stories are often the best basis for a film rather than novels because there's just so much less time than in a book.
Yeah, yeah. I can understand that because there would be so much more depth in a longer narrative that you feel like you can't translate because you have to do so in a certain amount of time, as opposed to really sitting with some of these things. But it's funny because these scenes, it feels like you're doing that. And I mean, this is the hawk too, and the shots of it. But I mean, the eyes on this bird, and just it feels like these moments together, they communicate so much.
And
There's a raw
one thing I have to
intensity.
point out is it's not like when you hire a chimpanzee or a dog, those are very trainable species. And so you can really get a kind of a performance from animals in those species. Hawks don't perform, they don't act, they just do. So in a way, we had to set up situations where Claire Foy, who got intensely trained in the arts of falconry, she was doing it for real. I mean, no actual animals were killed, but all the component pieces of the walking with the human being, the flying, coming back to Claire, all that is for real. And Philippa Lothorpe had to really break new ground in terms of how exquisitely you film an animal. She had a special filming unit just for the hawks. We were all told not to wear yellow on set because that was the color the hawks were trained to hunt. So it was not like working with biddable, trainable actors. Not that all actors are that biddable, but you know what I mean. These hawks have extraordinarily intense nervous systems, and so they had to, on the days they were filming with the hawks, they had to have as few as possible people on set. They used lots of techniques like drones flying alongside the hawks. Yeah, I think she Philippa couldn't use just the usual techniques for filming animals.
That's wild. That's incredible. And of course, with these beautiful creatures, though, this is a film that's really grappling with questions of grief. And Claire's character, forgive me, I forget her name.
Yeah, Helen.
Helen
Yeah.
is dealing with the loss of her father. And I wondered in your mind, what do you think it takes to heal from our grief? Because certainly Helen's character is doing that as the film progresses, but through this relationship.
Well, that's one thing I love about this project, that it's got something in it which is absolutely ordinary. I mean, most of us, if we're lucky, our parents died before us. I say if we're lucky because that's what parents want. They don't want to see their kids die before them. So this is an absolutely routine experience of midlife, and yet many of us are devastated. I've often had friends say to me, like, my parent died, and like I shouldn't be making a big fuss about it, but I feel utterly orphaned, and like, I'm now on the edge of the cliff. Nobody's there protecting me from mortality. So it's got this element of the everyday, the universal, and then it's got this freakishly, distinctive culture of falconry with all its odd equipment. I mean, it can look like a fetish dungeon, with all its little odd words, like getting footed. That's when, say, Helen gets clawed in the head by the bird by accident, and blood dripping down her face. So it's this weird specialist world, but it's also this absolutely everyday human experience. And one thing I love that the film does capture is how everybody's grief journey is their own. It was always misleading to talk about the stages of grief, because in fact they are more like rooms of grief that you step in and out. You're not done with anger at the point where you move past the anger phase. You can get angry at any point. So I think the film really captures the unpredictability and oddity and specificity and individual experience of grief. And so a lot of people will be able to relate to it, even if they've never touched a bird.
Absolutely. I like that you use the term unpredictable, and there's an ebb and flow to grief and pain and struggle that is captured beautifully here.
And that meant the screenplay couldn't be too classically shaped. I mean, it's got it's got an overall shape, but moment by moment, I wanted to be like, we don't know if this particular episode is going to go well or not. Or something can go well, but Helen will look like a crazy person with blood trickling down her face. So we'll be like thrilled that the hawk managed to capture a rabbit, but worried about Helen looking mad in the store she goes into. So it kept it wonderfully fresh. It's not the really predictable beats of a film about getting over suffering. It stays very nervous and very winding in its move towards psychological health. It's not obvious at all.
Yeah, there's a fracture to it that I think is beautiful. Honestly, Emma, thank you so much. H is for Hawk is just a beautiful film, and I really appreciate the chance to chat with you about it. Thank you so much. Have a great day.
Thanks so much. Bye bye.
Bye bye.